All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my series with my lovely boyfriend,
Hello.
where we inspect Marvel Rivals costumes and get his thoughts on them. Now, he is a comic artist, he is an art teacher, he's got a lot of insight into how character design is handled, and I've learned a lot doing this series with him. Now, last time we did Magneto, and this time we are doing Mantis, a character who I had no idea existed before the first before the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie, actually. So here she is.
And she is adorable and lethal.
Yep.
This is a fun design, though, for her. She has always kind of had like this kind of like fairy nymph-like quality, even though she's an alien. But I'm not that familiar with like her costume designs besides the movie.
Yeah,
Doesn't-
I have never seen a costume design for Mantis in the comics. I have no idea what she looks like.
Yeah, so we'll just have to like judge it based on what they've done with it here, but it's really fun.
Yeah, this is one of the better default designs.
Because we got like it's kind of like a big tunic with one half of the dress longer than the other. There's a lot of repeating shapes, especially in like the leggings that are making these kind of big, rounded out, like diamond shapes, which would be like a leaf. I could have just said leaf, but I'm going for like the abstract way they're drawn because it's not literally a leaf, but by just taking the regular diamond shape and just adding some more variety to it, so it's a little more organic. Like they're just adding this kind of leafy motif across the whole outfit. The color's really nice too. We've kept brown and green, and the green is just like pitched up to yellow green all the way down to blue green wherever it's needed, which is when you keep your palettes that simple is really a great way to kind of balance in where you want your people to look. Because all the bright greens, most of them in general, are all on the collar and the kind of shoulder pad accents on the rest of that tunic. The middle piece is cut up interestingly, though. Like, the front kind of makes sense. It does that kind of classic, like, kind of the chest through the abs area that on a lot of outfits. But I like the cutting on the back, because if you switch to, like, where the shoulder blades are at, like, there's some fun cutouts over there that aren't overdone. Like, it kind of feels like it's playing around with the shape of the scapula and
You
the
know what?
lower back muscles.
You know what it's actually evoking for me? Like the outfit is stitched together like she made it by hand. Obviously she didn't. Those are metal fasteners and stuff, but it's designed in such a way that it looks like an old stitched tunic.
Yeah, it also has like kind of a cactus look to it,
A little bit, yeah.
which is pretty fun because they're kind of picking a little bit from here, there, and everywhere. So you kind of get just basic plant, but it doesn't look like it's like specifically one kind of plant. Like some elven designs will be like they're all supposed to be broadleaf trees or pine or like a specific place because she has some vines for her belt, which is huge actually. So they oversized the belt and it's asymmetrical. A lot of little stuff going on in this outfit. There's also a fun texture on the light green. It's also spiky, so we get like a spiky plant texture, but it's all geometric diamond designs.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of fun. It's like subtle. She's got like a subtle "I'm dangerous" look to her. But like at first it's all friendly, just like a real plant. Like, oh, it's green, it's alive, and then it's like spiky. There's also more of that arrow, like I say arrow, but like triangles tend to be like the danger shape when you're in a design. They got more triangles going down the bottom of the leaf-shaped dress as little green accents. And then they repeat it again in dark blue accents, but only on the front. But it's kind of a lead up because they're pointing arrows, literally pointing upwards to bring you up through the design to the top. Which is probably pretty good at design choice, because I feel like a lot of the other elements towards the top are kind of bringing us downward, because they're all kind of like, especially like the chest swoop is kind of, to that it feels like it's going down rather than up.
The thing they really want you to focus on is her abs.
Yep.
There is a different character design where they do want you to focus on her abs, but that's a different character that we'll get to after we finish our sweep through the list.
Yeah, they did do cutouts on the kind of open collar, which is an interesting idea. I think it just gives it a little bit more three-dimensionality, but I'm not sure if it was necessary or not, but it doesn't take away from the design either. I think it just adds an additional line, especially on the front of that kind of brown collar area, to kind of create more of a neck shape without actually having the neck showing.
Oh, her ears wiggle.
She's got ear physics. Or is it just slightly? It's more of an animation though. It's not. It's done for what she's doing, I think.
Yeah.
Interesting. Trying to think of anything else I can point out here, as far as like what they did with the design. I do like the big circles on the collar, which she has also on her hands.
Yeah. What is that on her hands? What is that for? What is that device?
I know, it seems like they're like, oh yeah, she has mind reading powers, so we gotta give her a weapon, I think. I'm not sure.
I guess that could be where her energy blasts come from.
Yeah, I would presume so anyway, or maybe it just helps enhance or direct them.
Apparently, when she debuted in the 70s, she was, like, stupid broken. So I don't know how many of those powers they're drawing on for this iteration of Mantis.
Yeah, I do. I'm really liking how texture is playing work on here, because they've done some material work before with like satin and shiny and holographic, but this one instead is using more surface texture. So we got like spiky and the kind of repeated little leaf shape below the belt, and the whole bottom of the dress is like a big overlapping texture, and like things feel leathery and soft and spiky. Like, you know, like the texture was really nice.
Yeah.
I also like, because I know they do this a lot, but I like that the brown is desaturated on the leggings on the legs, because it's almost purpley and a little less warm to go with kind of the colder greens on the boots as well. This one's a lot of little flash too, like the boots have all these little metal doodads and repeated shapes. But you can use repetitions and designs to just kind of lead the eye upward and create movement where otherwise it'd be kind of blank. And a lot of more modern designs want to do that. And repetitions, and when you're talking principles of designs or rhythms, and they're kind of, the best way to compare them to is like music. Because music, you have like da 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 da, and you could do the same thing visually by repeating a shape in a certain size or frequency. So if you did like the green little markings on her dress and pretended it was like a melody going from bottom to top, it'd be kind of like da 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 da. Because the ones on her waist are much closer together. And you can do the same thing with a lot of other elements. I gotta say though, I think my favorite things on this particular version of this design is the textured green spikes on her arms.
Yeah, I never noticed those before.
And I really like the lines on the leggings, because at least to me as an artist, like they're very tightly controlled and just subtly askew, because like you get to the bottom of like a corner and they just push the line a little bit awkwardly to like another direction to give it a organic design, but it all stays very flat except for like the big chunky line that is part of like the stitching. So it just feels really nice, and like it's really pleasing to look at. Let's see, I want to see if there's anything I missed before I kind of move on. I haven't talked about her gloves too much, but there kind of is a lot going on there. It's like probably the most complex area of her whole outfit, honestly, because it's not a big area, and there's these like green stripes too that are on the gloves that are really, really bright and high contrast. But they do create a big lead line, because they go up the forearm and then they get all complex on the palm. Which, considering they added like the other extra gear on her hands, I think they're trying to bring some attention to this is like her weapon or her gear or part of the design that's functional and not just there for like extra bits and bobs.
Yeah, her gimmick is that she gets healing charges by critting people, so...
That's interesting. It's one of the parts of the design though, like I feel like I really liked how much the other outfit is just kind of low key, and then the very technological look of the hand gauntlets kind of throws me a little bit. But I
Yeah,
do,
she's very plant druid.
yeah, but I do know she's supposed to be like a science fiction character on top of that. So I'm conflicted because like yes, it does fit because that's what she's supposed to be because she's a guardian of the galaxy. They're in space. Then there should be some of that, but then a lot of the other outfit is kind of really skewing pretty close to fantasy outfit, more so than some of the other designs they've done for the like Guardians, I think. But we're also thinking like when you think the history is how old some of these properties are, the fantasy series has changed aesthetics quite drastically between like 70s, 80s, and then through the 90s and today. So some of the choices do feel like a little bit of a homage to some of the older fantasy tropes that are still commonly picked upon, but not maybe as strongly used anymore.
Uh-huh.
And then the color is just so nice. I like the blue eyes. It's kind of fun take on that. I would have thought they would have went with green or something. But it does give us a bit of a color change from all the green because there is a lot of it.
She does have slightly alien eyes, which I think is a nice touch.
Like, is it like the pupils are extra large?
So are the eyes.
Oh, compared to the other Marvel characters?
Yeah. The eyes are big, the pupils are enormous.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I was trying to decide if that was true or not because it's like, gosh, it's been a while since we jumped back into one of these.
Yeah.
Because also, it's like, once you get the bigger eyes and as far, all I can see is like just that generic Disney look that's been around for so long that everybody copied for ever and ever for like marketing reasons.
Well, I hate to point this out, but this is a Disney game.
Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me.
Disney. It's everywhere. Ah, get it off. But just because, like, to make a more appealing character, people have gone towards making bigger eyes, and it's just a common trope. Like, if you want an appealing design, they're rounder, they're cuter, they're bigger eyes, bigger head, and then they start to get closer to like baby proportions because we just find babies and small animals adorable. So they just go with like that kind of design motif, but then they just apply it to everything. And then to a point, it's gotten overused. But in this case, we do have other characters that don't use this design, so it does make her look a little different from the human designs of the other heroes.
You haven't said anything about her antennae yet.
Well, she's supposed to have them.
Well, I mean, just like a comment on them or anything.
Oh. They just go from her flesh tone to green, which is pretty. I was noticing some purples and other highlights as this kind of painted on lines and throwaways. But that's just like purple is right next to green, and as far as not complementaries, but as far as the color wheel is, it's just another one of the secondary colors. So it usually looks pretty good with green. Because now that I'm looking for it, there's like a lot. If you turn her the other way, there you go. Keep going. There you go, right there. You see there's like pink and green and that bright green and red like right on her chest area.
Yep.
There's like for some reason a lot of straight lines there. But it's just part of their like design bible for their character designs. All the characters have them, but it really pops out on this one a bit in some areas. But there's a lot of variety in the color. I like that a lot too. Like especially like this hip piece, you can see like saturated a version of the same green, desaturated, a warmer version, a yellower version. It's all very nice. I want some more games to have a lot of more color variations in their designs. It brings a lot of depth to the characters. But yeah, I like this one a lot. It's really nice. Colors are simple that it's hard to go wrong, but it always looks great. I always like simple color designs like this just because like it just always looks awesome. They're like really hard to mess up because the harmonies are pretty much right next to each other on the color wheel. So
yeah, this is a very complex design, like with a lot of moving parts, but color-wise, it's only really got the two colors, doesn't it?
And I do love the asymmetry on here because in here it's like very elegant and controlled, Or a lot of other designs, it's supposed to be like chaotic and all over. But this just gives her a little bit of like nature is not ordered. So it just gives her like a softer, more nature-like motif than if she'd had like a dress with even sides. And she does have a little spikiness to her. I like that too. Like things are a little bit pointed, just enough to, make her a little dangerous looking, but otherwise she's very soft and cuddly.
I just noticed that the belt has thorns.
Yeah, I told you she's spiky. You gotta watch out, man. She looks cute on the front, but if you don't treat her right, she's gonna take you out.
I don't know. I think she looks cute from behind too.
She's also spiky from behind. Yeah, I really like the way that triangles have been used in this design a lot. Considering a lot of this design is a lot softer and friendlier. It makes a nice contrast, let's put it that way. Like it's a character design contrast of like a very cute, soft leather nature druid design with all these kind of like subtle but very sharp points and little spikes throughout the design. I think it's very on purpose.
Yeah.
I do like that they did tie in her gear, even though it feels a little weird on this design motif, but they did tie it in by having some silver accents on like the top of her outfit and the knee pads. And I guess she's had some silver accent on her hair too. So it's not just like the one silver thing on the whole outfit. There's a little bit on here and there to tie it in. But yeah, I like this. I wonder what they're going to do with this being her default, what they're going to do with the other costumes.
Well, let's look at her first recolor.
Ooh. It's a Gamora look. But it's kind of fun because the color scheme, they kept it pretty simple. So you just have kind of oranges and yellows along.
She's an autumn.
Yeah, it's like autumn on a dark ground. I think they kept the color separation pretty similar too. No, it's a little different because the green was on the edge of the dress and here it's not. So the red portions are switched and the green, what was green, are switched down around slightly. But it's sectioned off really well, so you still have like on the arm there's like this thorough line of the black area that just goes all the way through. Especially when she had her arm held out, it was a little easier to see. But it completes that line all the way down to the hands. And then green is just the complement to red. And I know we're getting kind of orange here, which would mean I think it's yellow green, which again I think is where they're at, exactly where they're at. They had a little bit of warmth on the top of the antenna too, so that the green portions don't just disappear into one all green thing. Even on the tips of the ears have it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're using a lot of yellow and orange on the face to pull out a little bit of warmth. And it also helps keep it harmonious with all the other warm colors they're using. That's how you do it. The yellow nails are a nice touch too, because they're just a little bit lighter value than the green. And there's a little bit of orange on them too, on the base of the nails. Let's zoom out, because I think she has like white pants, which is a little different, but to me it makes it feel like kind of like regal formal wear almost. So it's kind of funny. It changed her outfit from a druid fit to kind of like a foreign prince or princess, fit.
Kinda, yeah.
Do you see it? It's like, a tunic with white leggings and black boots. It's kind of fun how much the colors change the whole vibe of the design.
Yeah.
Which we do have color associations in a way. Like, we associate, Disney has done this forever, where like villains are in like purples and greens and sometimes orange. But usually it's like cool or, cool colors quite a lot. Purples and especially. Or reds. Reds are another danger color. But we get these color associations over time. Whereas like heroes are often like in blue, sometimes red because, heroic and fierce.
Uh-huh.
But blue is such a friendly color that they'll put a lot of heroes in blue. Just to make things friendly. Depends on what you're watching though, because some of the newer stuff is all like, we don't like color anymore, so everyone's got to be grim and no colors at all for you.
Looking at you, Zack Snyder.
And I was like, we should have at least some. You can desaturate the colors if you're not like really big into the bright colors like what Marvel's does. But you can have like a desaturated dusty blue. And like I think Lord of the Rings might actually be a great example of a more subdued color palette, but there is color. Like they're wearing green cloaks from the elves and they have banners for the different factions when they do show up on screen. And you know, things like that. Where it's not wildly out of reality, but it is enough color to give the world a sense of lived-inness. And we've always loved color. Like you go back into history, we've done crazy amount of things just to get really rare colors. Red was especially hard, and so is purple, which is why it gets associated with royalty quite often. And so maybe that's why it got associated with villains over time. We don't know. But yeah, color dyes are interesting. There was a type of purple that the only way they could make it was to crush up these snails from the ocean, and they would crush up thousands of these snails just to get like a little bit of dye. So you could find like they find evidence of these places where they would like manufacture the dye because they could find all the leftover shells. This is like, you know, before Roman Empire. This is a very long time ago, but it's just interesting what they would do to get dyes for fabrics. And very, very expensive dyes. Why in a lot of medieval stuff you don't see some of these colors because the peasantry are not going to afford them. They're going to be able to wear like easier to get dyes in like yellows and greens and other colors. So, you know, there's historical precedents for some colors and we just make associations. Like this one, like it looks like white leggings, like a lot of some royalties in different countries would wear, especially European. But I do like this color scheme a lot. It's a really pretty good recolor, honestly, as far as some of the other ones we've seen. Like it's exciting and it feels nice.
All right, before we move on to the next recolor, I'm going to mute the mic for a sec. Okay, we're back. All right, so are you excited for... Where is it?
I don't know. Am I?
Herald of Galacta.
Oh, no!
And I learned, apparently these are like heralds of Galacta, these costumes. So like the Silver Surfer is for Galactus.
Oh, interesting. You know what, though? This isn't the worst one we've ever seen as far as the way they've done this color palette. They almost make this work. I think it's because they use the cyan accents so sparingly versus some of the other designs where it's a big central part of the motif.
I do think you'll like the Invisible Woman one when we get there.
When we get there. I'm surprised they didn't mess with her skin tone in this one like they did, like, you know, it'd be purple or something.
Her hair's purple.
Yeah, her hair's purple, that's true. So they could have done it. We could have had cyan Mantis.
Well, they did it with her antenna, at least.
Yeah. They did take a pretty smart approach to what I think is kind of a really hard color palette, because they don't even let them deviate that much from it. They don't let them add, like a brighter version of the fuchsia or, like, a darker version. You know, like, they're pretty much stuck to this value of this color in this hue. They don't get... I've never seen one where they've really gotten to move those around. So they've kept... like the majority of her dark portions of her outfit in that darker purple that they let them use. Then they let the more magenta be like the big majority of the outfit. Like if you did proportions of how much color was in each one, they let the warm purple be like the big main color, and then they're using that darker purple for some of the other accents, which meshes really well with the darker blue because the darker blue is already a cold blue. So we're kind of meshing those really nicely. And then just accent stuff is that cyan.
Yep.
Which, as her makeup and the glow of her antenna and her little powers, that's looking pretty nice, honestly.
Yeah.
I wish they could have let them do something with her metal gear, like the hand gauntlet thing that we're still not sure what it is. We'll pull them like power wristlets, I guess. I'll call them from now on.
Yeah.
But yeah, her power gear. It's just, yeah. I just feel like this is such a rough color palette, but I do like the gradient on the spiky portions too.
Oh yeah.
Like that's pretty nice. Whoever got this one did a pretty good job with what I think is just a really harsh color palette to work with.
Yeah.
And every time I see it, I want it to be one of those cool black light, color palettes because it almost feels close to that.
But it's not neon enough.
Yeah, there's just something about the exact way that these three colors come together that they don't create a very good harmony. If you took some of the colors, like maybe tweak the cyan down to like a lavender or, light blue, blue violet would probably look nice. Or if you took like the warm fuchsia and just desaturated it a bit or something, like there's a better combination they could have picked. That's another thing that's hard I just realized about this outfit is you only have one desaturated color, and that's that dark blue. And I don't think they like them to do a lot of the dark blue. I think the main of this is that blue violet, the red fuchsia color, and the cyan. And they just kind of throw that gray blue as like a little, like, here you get some. Because I see it sometimes on some outfits, and other outfits I don't think I've seen it on it. So, as far as like getting like a rough assignment, I'll give them this is a pretty good design. I don't love it still, but oops.
Kitty knocked over my computer.
Don't worry, it's the broken one. Clean up your stuff. But yeah, like I think this is, and even the cyan accents. You notice looking on the torso, they didn't use them, even though it's the same accent as the other outfit. It's a darker fuchsia, and then they did it on the back too for the spikies.
Yeah.
There's actually a green that they got on here. How'd they get away with that? Did they miss the spot, or they just they're like, green? What?
It's Mantis poking through the Herald palette.
Maybe.
All right, that all you have to say about Herald of Galacta?
Yeah, like I feel like they did. Like I would give it like a solid B, and that's because the color palette is working against them.
All right, let's move on to one that I rather like. This is her MCU skin from Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Ooh, boy, they went bright blue with that.
Yeah, it's based on the comic uniform that they have. I don't know what it looks like in the movie because I haven't seen Volume 3, but
I did, but like a lot of the Marvel movies, everything is like not as bright as it could be anymore.
Yeah,
because it has to be realistic.
But I really like this contrast of red and blue.
Yeah, it's really nice. And the blue is super bright.
Yeah.
Though I almost can't take my eye away from it to actually look at her. Because it's like...
It's such a soothing blue, isn't it?
Because it's like, blue. Because... And they do have... I think they have some... It's not desaturation so much as they get the blue a little bit darker towards the bottoms of the legs. So it's like a little more purpley, which is kind of interesting choice. But I guess they really just didn't want the saturation of that outfit to fall. It's like, it's blue, baba-dee, baba-die. Her antenna
If I was green, I would die.
Well, that was what happened. And I mean, no, it's just spoilers. Different character. I do like the little green accents on her movie antenna too. And there's like the nails being blue too.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at it though, I'm like, what do you mean she doesn't need the hand gear? She's just holding on to those for no reason. Also, I don't know if that's going to come over the mic, but we're having our siren test right now.
Well, let's see the mic levels. Hang on. It's not pushing the mic levels. I don't think they can hear it.
Okay, no, this is just in case you did. We're safe. We're just testing them in case we get into a situation where the weather wants to kill us.
Downside of living in Nebraska. Upside of living in Maine. No hurricanes, no earthquakes, no tornadoes.
Yeah, it's like, we have the context is that it's a tornado siren, so bad weather they'll put that up, but it is just a first of the month test.
It is stressful as somebody who grew up in Maine.
No, what's stressful is the one year as a kid, the first thing that went was we went sirens going, because the tornado hit the sirens. You know do you know the second thing the tornado hit? The radio station tower.
Oh no.
So no sirens, no news. Have fun, kids. We were all fine, but there was a lot of building damage that year. But everybody was fine. But it was quite the escapade. That was like in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the siren set us off. We're gonna go get back on topic here.
They picked a really bright red too.
Oh yeah, and we got warm and cools are always gonna have a kind of a complementary contrast in general. So it creates interest in design. They also create some pretty nice shapes with like this big thick line used for like kind of the belt motif in red. It's a thicker line and it's creating this kind of nice shape. It's also fun, I think, to me that they cut it off with this big pocket so it doesn't feel like it just runs away the whole way. Like there's a line on the side of her leg that's cut off by the pocket, so it kind of creates a break. And because of the way our brains are really good at patterns, we can do like a dotted dashed line, and our brains will still interpret all those dashes as a straight line because our mind just fills in the blanks.
Uh-huh.
So you can do that again visually too here. Like there's like kind of these two lines, but I see the line on the hip kind of connecting to the kind of armpit, and the other line also connecting down to the leg. So you have kind of like this double line to the leg. I like that there's a couple of gray belts on the side of her torso to give it some of these lines that they add that seem like random stuff, like those two black belts. They are a little bit random, but they also do a purpose in that you can see the curve of it, which gives three-dimensionality to her body.
Uh-huh.
And it's also doing that thing they like to do a lot where it mimics a body part. So it kind of feels like ribs or the muscles that might attach there. So they're using sometimes when they have these fantasy superhero outfits, they're using portions and belts and lines and cutouts to kind of mimic the physicality of muscles and tendons and other things.
In defense of Tetsuya Nomura.
Well, it's just makes sense because they could do a regular outfit with wrinkles and stuff, but that doesn't feel like heroic, right? It just feels like a dude in a janitor suit.
Uh-huh.
Whereas if you start putting lines and cutting stuff out and putting textures, like there's kind of the spaceman texture on certain sections too, where they do these little repeated lines, then it starts feeling like cool and science fiction and heroic, because you can when the characters start posing, especially in like comics where they're single static images, you can show how physical and strong and athletic they are versus if they were just covered in like clothing. Same with like a cape, right? The cape itself could either like obscure how muscular they are, or they start to run and then the cape is showing how fast and swift they are.
Uh-huh.
Like there's just different designs to use. And then some of them, of course, are just to differentiate, like if we do the Batman silhouette, we know it's Batman, right? Because it just tells them that's his character. So they're, and same with her, like we have some shorthand. If she has two antennae and we saw her from like behind, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's Mantis, right? There are like colors too. Like some characters will have like a common color. Like Loki's always green, almost pretty much always. So when you see like some guy doing shenanigans in green, you're like, oh man, is that Loki? He looks like suspicious.
One sec. Sorry about that. Had to fetch another roll of paper towels to blow my nose. Okay, so yeah.
They do a lot too. Like I've noticed that they're usually doing the main color or accent color on her nails a lot for at least the designs we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Which she has like such beautiful manicured nails. And I think too, because of a nature of her power, they are bringing a lot of attention to her hands because she's like moving them around and flicking her fingers a lot. You know, so it, you know, because it kind of makes sense with like her character. Like her thing is to like when I touch someone, I can connect with them, or you know, like that's her power. So it's kind of interesting. They're doing things with the animation to tie that in and bring some attention to it.
She does have an ability where she launches like a little purple orb, and if it hits you, you fall asleep. And there's like a little ghostly purple mantis hanging out behind your head, going ooh.
That's great. There is kind of a secondary accent of yellow here. Because I see a little bit in the middle of the belt and this medallion that's dead center on her outfit.
Yeah, that's the Guardian's emblem.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other yellow unless it's on like the belts. There's some rivets on the pockets that have the little yellow, but they're so tiny that
Yeah, I don't think those count.
like they're so tiny that they're not gonna add a lot, but it is gonna add a little bit of tie-ins across the outfit. But the boots don't have any color at all, do they? No, just all dark gray, and it's pretty much the same value except for the soles of the boots are darker. They kind of balance out with the gloves, but the gloves are so much smaller than the boots. We do have this kind of like a big, small, medium kind of hierarchy though, because like, you know, tiny gloves, medium black hair, large black boots. So it feels pretty balanced in that way. Nothing's uneven. They had a lot of fun with the lines though, as far as the way they come up the sides of those pockets, up the torso, and then all through the arms.
Uh-huh.
Even the red section, the top red section of those arms is almost cut out like a little piece of armor. Even though it might just be fabric or leather, but the way it's cut makes it feel armor-like. And there's even a belt that holds it onto her shoulder that way. I always find it fascinating though when they do like what's clearly supposed to be a single suit, but it still has a arm cut out. So like, is there another layer underneath there? Is it like a Boldero, or is just like the top sleeves and you know, like how does this work? Because then it's like it's cut out, but then there's a belt that holds on a piece, but then there's like arm fabric underneath. So there's at least 3 sections on here, which is a bit amusing. But you know, I would love to see like a movie or something like break apart one of these outfits and show the pieces. Like, you know, there's like a little piece she has to put on her shoulders and then tie onto her arms. And then she has to put her arms through the bottom part of the suit. I hope she never has to go to the restroom. It's going to be a nightmare to get out of this thing. I also noticed the top portion has like little rivets and it's like a flap. That might open or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's you see that on the Star Trek Starfleet uniforms from like in between the original series and Next Generation. They had a flap like that, which I never liked as a uniform the way they designed it, but it works here.
I do like everything is kind of, it's either intricate and lots of extra little repeated lines, or it's big and chunky like the side pockets. So even though, like, clearly if you stop to slow down and start to, like, question it, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense anymore. But as far as, like, shapes and the size of things and the complexity or simplicity of things, it really comes together really nicely. Like, the arms just have a lot of density of detail, which I think works because you have dense, then less dense, like, the middle is very, like, easy to read. And then you can go back to dense. Like, the boots are actually pretty dense, but even though it's low contrast. There you go. It's like my co-pilot slacking. But, like, we got, like, all these little belts and sections and repeated lines. Which we have on the lower legs, too. And then, like, we have some areas of rest, especially in the middle. But that's the way I think they probably went about designing it, is they're like, you know, okay, we're going to have some, like, easier to read big lines throughout the middle of the outfit, and then as we get to the extremities, we're going to get more complex. And I think because it's kind of done equally, it comes together pretty nice. Yeah, when I try to talk about these outfits, I try not to miss anything, but sometimes there just is so many tiny little things happening, and that's just the process of iteration. Like, they probably drew, like, this outfit, like, 10 or more times. Like, okay, what if I change this and put this shape here? Or what if I change this? Or what if I, and then they combine the best elements of all those iterations into what this design is. I do like also that they have the big red arm pad, and then I just noticed she has a big red pad for her forearms too.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a little bit of warmth too in the red too. They go to orange in some areas, which is the same thing they were doing with the blues, because they don't want to lose the high contrast. They don't want to have anything not be as bright as it can be. So the only way you can keep everything bright without and still have white is, instead of desaturating or adding white, you have to tilt the color wheel towards the next lightest color. So like the blue goes to cyan, which is like a more yellow blue. The red goes to orange, which is a more yellow red. And if they want it darker, the red goes towards purple, which there's a slight hint of it on the edge of that gauntlet piece. It's not a lot, but they edge towards purple, and that's their light. That's their light and dark in this situation, so that they don't lose the high saturation. And the same thing with the blue. Like, they went to cyan and then they went to purple. Whereas like the hair and stuff, like, it's gray, so they're going for like there's kind of like a gray, blue, green as a light color. It's like really desaturated. They don't have like high contrast in a gray, so they're not gonna do that. Her skin tone is probably the same thing. It's like they don't want the skin tone to look neon, so they have, it's white and maybe a little yellow, but they're not keeping the high contrast because that would look really odd on skin unless you're doing like a completely neon colored alien, which is not done very often, I think, just because neon colored stuff does look really weird to us, because we never see anything like that except for like maybe dart frogs and a few other animals that are that brightly colored. Or some insects, but most other animals, like the vast majority, are some desaturated color as far as their fur or skin. But yeah, I think I've talked through this one. I cannot think of much else to go through.
Okay. One sec. All right. So moving on from this one, what do I want to show you next? How about her newest costume?
Whoa.
Gladiator Mantis. Gladiator Mantis from an alternate reality.
Yeah, this is pretty different. Because they really made her cutesy.
Yeah, ironically.
Yeah, like she's got high heels and everything in the gladiator setting. Which alternative gladiator is this? What are they how are they fighting? I'm asking questions now because this is sus.
Clearly the heels have stilettos in them.
Yeah, is it mud wrestling or? But yeah, there's some interesting play though on size, because she has like one enormous gauntlet. But she also has like on her chest armor like this enormous like lion motif that's actually highly projected from where it's carved. Like it's not like a low motif, like it could have been a lot flatter. But they did this like big chunky silver piece to accent her boobs.
This is the biggest pair of boobs on any Mantis design.
It's like who got this assignment? They're telling us something. I do like the little bit of leather pieces added on the pauldron and the belt though, that are a really desaturated brown.
Oh yeah.
That's like the one thing that kind of brings it back towards being a bit more gladiator medieval, because a lot of the purples and especially the gloves are very mechanical future. Which in comics you get to play around with stuff like that, like, things that would never really go together because they're from two different design families, and you just get to go, the rules don't matter, wing! And then you can do, mecha gladiators, just because. Also, they really accented her butt, too.
I was about to say, she's got her whole ass out.
Yeah, like, there is, like, a missing piece just so on the side you see, like, her
gluteus.
Complete gluteus maximus. We're going to try to be respectful for her, even though the whole design is entirely disrespect. No, there's some cool lighting on this model, too, to go with the purples, is that she has a cyan highlight on a lot of stuff from the lighting engine. Let's see, what else did they do with the color palette here? Because clearly the main color is purple.
The hair does weird stuff.
Yeah, there's some green underneath or on the sides, some green accents. We'll get to that in a minute though. We're gonna go big picture for a little bit, where we have purple is kind of the main motif, and it's most saturated in her gloves and her hair, and everything else is playing with saturation. But they go the full gauntlet, gauntlet, gladiators. But they do. There's like on the tassels, it's almost entirely desaturated down to gray, down towards the very ends. And then we have like fully saturated all the way at the top. And then there's a little bit of hue play too, because there's a little bit of violet, like a purple violet and blue violet in there. So like we have all the purples. They are all here. And even in the light spectrum, like the hair has a light purple. And some of the tips of the hair are getting very light too. Not desaturated, but like adding white to it to make it much lighter. And then there's a little bit of green accents they're adding too, which they include a lot in the hair, especially towards the back on the sides. But they are also using this kind of teal, green, cyan color in the gauntlets. So there's like the power, glowy power portions, along with these kind of like lines that are also like these pulsing power mecha colors. Which it's a type of green that is, when it's teal like that, it's pushed more towards blue, and blue is going to match with purple because they both have blue in it. So they're just pitching that green to be a contrast color, but they're pitching it blue so it will harmonize with the colors they're already using as their main motif here. I do like they're using some accents like the leather, but there's also like repeated lines in the pauldron too that make it kind of reminiscent of those like poofy sleeves on dresses.
Oh yeah.
To me. So like they're really mixing some designs with like soft and feminine and like leathery clothing and armor.
This design is all over the place. I'm not sure it's in a bad way though.
Yeah, but they're using a lot of elements, but they're doing things where they're done in a way to invoke the idea of something. Because like that armor pauldron is not fabric, obviously. It's like it's got shape to it that suggests it's hard and armored. It has a ridiculously oversized spikes on it, you know, but they're doing stuff with it that they're adding these lines to invoke the idea of fabric. And then since we have like the leather pieces, that's reminiscent of Roman armor or Roman style armor. So it doesn't contrast with the other armor pieces because we've already associated that design as armor. And even though they can play around with the shape of the armor, because obviously like chess pieces are not going to be shaped that way because it doesn't work. It's highly impractical because the swords will like start getting pointed to the places you don't want swords to actually strike through. And there's like this upcut, kind of like a shirt. Again, it's like a shirt. It's that shape, but it's a solid piece. And they let it move as if it were a solid piece of armor. It's kind of interesting that they got away with this, but like the mecha arm pieces have like dark accents instead of the light silver ones. But I think they're trying to show a contrast that these pieces of the armor are not the same as the other pieces she's wearing. And it does feel that way because the other pieces don't say future mechanical, but the gloves do. But they are tying it together with the same shade of purple. So they're showing like, okay, this is a different material. She's probably scrapped it from somewhere. Who knows, you know, what the story is. But she's, you know, it's different from her other fit. But the color is totally tying it in with the rest of the outfit. I'm trying to remember what boots she was wearing on this. Because she had like the high heel boots. Which, there is kind of a cool repeating curve on the side of the calves. I'm not sure what they're going with it, but it's just some extra line to kind of piece out the boots, probably to make them look a bit more armorish than what these type of boots typically look like, which is usually like a leather or fabric. So it's just taking again a clothing item and making it look more armor-like by adding colors, material treatment, and other things to make it look that way.
God, they really did inflate her chest, though. How much you want to bet she's still the same boob size underneath that? She just has huge D-cup armor.
It's just stuffed with tissues. But let's go look at the other color palette, because we talked about the purples. They have light, like silver, and they have dark gray, which are very neutral. The brown they use, because brown would normally be a very warm color with all these cool grays. they said they just desaturate the brown so much that it's not going to have enough warmth to really kind of overtake this design. The big yellow gem is kind of a big color though, but they are tying yellow to, like, I think the tops of her antenna, and I think she has a smaller gem on her chest and lion that you can see when you're a little bit closer.
Lion eyes and up above it.
And yellow's the complement to purple. So usually when you're adding complements to a color scheme, what it does is it makes that color feel brighter and more vivid because it's next to a color that it is, like, basically contrasting with. And I don't know why our brains do this, honestly, because on a color wheel, if you're mixing these colors, you have your primary colors, which you have to use to make all your other secondary colors. So you'd have yellow. Well, you mix blue and red, and you get purple. So I feel like there's just something in our brains or the way our eyes are made that just sees those colors and goes, yeah, that looks really nice. It pleases the cones and rods. But then, like, our vision is partially our eyeball, but then there's another part of our vision that is our brain. Because our eyeballs are pretty imperfect in some ways, so our brain will, like, fill in a lot of information that we're seeing.
And also flip the vision upside down.
Yeah, it'll flip the vision upside down. And there's been, like, a study on that. The scientist who was studying it, he wore, like, specialty goggles that flipped his sight upside down again. And he brute forced wore them long enough that his brain flipped the upside down vision that he was seeing. Like, his brain was like, all right, fun's over. Your upside down goggles are now right side up, you maniac.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah, the brain really wants to order visual information, which is why design is articulated the way artists do this, and we use different kinds of ways to articulate that information. But we're talking, like, how do the size and proportions go together? What balances it out visually? You know, it sounds like we're making up the rules, but a part of the rules are based on the way our brains like to see information. So when our brains go, ugh, the pattern is, like, kind of gross and I don't like it, you know, it's a bad design. But when we can manipulate it and be like, oh, hey, the design is showing me, like, things that I know, like the design motifs that we're talking about, the gladiator look, right? And then, you know, colors, how do those colors harmonize? Do they not harmonize? Our brains, even if we're not a trained artist, just kind of pick up on that.
Uh-huh.
Artists can probably articulate better why it's not working, but even people who just, you know, look at the art to enjoy it, as everyone I think should, can pick up on that. And I think that's pretty cool. There's just some mysteries of the brain and the way we organize our information. But yeah, this is kind of pretty different from Mantis design. I'm all curious what the other AU characters look like, that she looks like this.
Well,
because it feels, I know it's supposed to be cutesy, but to me it feels kind of evil somehow.
Here's the theme of the current season. You know how, you know the MCU collector guy who was played by Guillermo del Toro or something, and like had this museum of creatures and objects collected from across the galaxy. He's the main villain of the current season, and she's one of his exhibits.
Oh, well, that explains the outfit.
Yeah, so there's nothing else from the reality she's from in the game. She's just one of the collector's exhibits.
Oh, I was just kind of curious about, like, the gladiator thing, because I know they've done, like, a few gladiator themes. Like, you know, either some big bad has all the characters fight, and then a, you know, death battle, you know, Roman gladiator style, because, you know, what's more epic than that. So I was thinking, like, maybe there would be other characters in, like, her set that would tie in some of the motifs.
Sadly, no.
Sadly, no. So
Yeah.
we're just left to wonder what her opponents would look like. Probably Pulp, right? She's the only survivor. They were too distracted by her lions.
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them. Is it a female lion, just out of curiosity? Because I mean, I know it's probably an alien lion, but I was just thinking about that. Like, does it have a mane, or is it just kind of, like, ambiguous?
It's a little ambiguous, but I don't think it has a mane.
Then again, it looks like there's kind of, like, these tall horn-like things on the top. I mean, it looks most like a cat or a lion to me, but it could be some kind of alien creature.
True.
But that's just me being the storyteller I am. I'm like, all right, this is a cool design, but what's the story? Tell me. Because there is kind of like an interesting idea going on here with like, we have gladiator fighters, but now we have like also like mecha enhancements. So, are they like throwing, power orbs at each other or explosions, like take gladiators, fighting lions and then take that up to alien lions and, bigger and bolder and more amazing. But if you're saying like it's just kind of like a design for the current season and they haven't really expanded upon that idea, then I guess right now it's just a what if.
Yeah.
But I like the what if. It's fun, and purple's kind of an interesting color on her. Maybe that's why I'm kind of getting the villain vibes because of the purple, and she's like super cutesy, which I feel like, at least to me, like in her movie iterations, she is cute, but it's more of in the awkward cute category. So.
Yeah, she's cute, yes, but she's meant to be primarily weird.
Yeah, and so like in this version where she's kind of bubblegum cute, like it makes me wonder what her history is. But, maybe that makes it a good design. It makes you wonder. So, like, it did tell a story. It just hasn't told us what the story is yet.
Yeah. She's actually voiced by, I can go into practice mode and let you hear her voice. It's very bubblegum cute. It's I don't know how to pronounce her name. Xanth Hoi, I think, who played Haru in Persona 5, which you would know, but some of the people in my audience would.
One last thing before we switch from this, too, that I just was picking up on, but when we talk about like the oversized pauldron, but all the rivets and everything on the leather pieces are also oversized as well. So I think that a lot of the design on here is like take object but then oversize it, because not a lot of stuff is at like regular scale. I think just her one glove is like at the normal scale, and everything else is just kind of big and chunky, which I think feels pretty fun for this design because it gives her a bigger silhouette and bigger pieces to her outfit than you probably normally would.
Yeah.
And I do like how the little things are animated, like when she turns around, that the little things floof around. I don't think we needed to see as much of her butt as we did, but, I can't stop the thirst.
It's a nice butt. What can I say?
What can you say? It is a nice butt.
All right, before we move on, give me 1 sec. All right, onwards. Let's see, what next? Oh, let's do the Chinese New Year skin.
Ooh, that's a pretty fun idea for her antenna.
Yeah. Dragon horns.
Do they do a different character for every year? Because I think that there's been like 2 years, right?
Nope, only one.
Oh.
We're coming up on the second Chinese New Year. Here's a sad thing. The Marvel Rivals player base kind of bullied them out of doing more Asian-inspired skins because they were kind of front-loaded. Like, there is a criticism to be had that they front-loaded a lot of original Asian-inspired skins, both Japanese and Chinese, instead of like comic-accurate skins or more Western-style ones that would fit the characters better. I like a lot of the Asian skins, but I see why people got sick of it. However, the player base bullied the devs into not doing those anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Which sucks, because there are some really good Asian-inspired designs. You know, I think if they hit a middle ground where they released one every once in a while, then it would be great.
Yeah, that makes me mad, because if we didn't have Asian-inspired styles, we wouldn't have Batmanga, which is, like, amazing that it exists. Which I know is DC, but, like, they did a lot of the shows overseas, too, for a while, and they've animated so much stuff. Like, you gotta be respectful. And I think also it's just, I would love seeing the other perspectives. I can see wanting to see more of the classic designs too, but I think they didn't need to bully them to make them stop completely. I think they just needed to say, hey, can we split the diff,
Yeah.
And also, I just don't think Asian artists have been really celebrated a lot in the Western sphere, so it was really cool. Like, I love the Peach Momoko ones. And I don't know what the other ones that we've gone through have been mentioned by name or not, but I like the idea of these guest artists designing a set. And it'd be really cool to see that expanded to even beyond Asia. Like, if we got, like, to other places like African inspired. They go with like the Wakanda, and even the other characters, like let's have some African inspired versions of the, famous characters that we know. Just because this is an international game, like people play it from all over, it's available everywhere. So like I like seeing the new perspectives, because like we all know what the classic ones look like, and I think we'll get to them eventually. Like there's so many classic designs, like they could spend years catching up with the decades of comics. And I just like the fresh look that this game has brought to a lot of these characters. It's obviously brought in a lot of love to people who haven't played Marvel before, or have been really interested in superheroes before. And so I like that things are a little fresh. I do also notice that there's a lot of Gen Z like inspired looks too for some of these characters. Like I've seen some that are clearly marketed towards the younger crowd, because they're like out there wearing Crocs and
Yeah.
and stuff, that, and like some of the Y2K looks that are not really that accurate, because they're doing the version of Y2K that the younger generation is becoming nostalgic for.
Yeah.
Because they see it as a simpler time when the aesthetics are appealing to them. So they're really bringing back some of those older styles from previous decades. So I don't know. I like that they're exploring new stuff, and it's kind of sad that they got bullied out of it.
Yeah.
But
we'll see what happens when Chinese New Year rolls around again.
I hope they do some more Chinese New Year, because the ones they've done so far have been so fun.
Yeah.
And even this one's so interesting. They really wilded up her hair. She's like a fierce god.
Yeah, I love her hair in this one. It's kind of it's a little bit it's giving a little bit Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
In a fun way.
And like I just love seeing too like the belt design here with the bells and like the ornamentation. And I know some of that is just such a like ancient classic designs that have been around for centuries. And then they turned her antenna into horns.
Yeah, that's a great touch.
I'm honestly surprised they don't glow on the tips like for her powers.
Oh, you're right. They should.
Right? Like when she does this and they go like meow.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's probably the one part of this outfit that I don't like, is that the horns don't glow, now that you mentioned it.
Now that I mentioned it, you hate it.
It's not a pink tie or anything, but...
Yeah. I'll do big picture first, and I'm seeing a lot of really fun stuff here. So color palette wise, they went with a Jade Dragon look.
Jade Maiden?
Hey there, yeah. I mean, yeah, jade is just a beautiful stone, and it's been all over China for, again, centuries. And there's different types and colors of it. Yellow jade, green jade, I think there's white jade, and there's different regions. And
I got my sibling Jade a Wyoming jade necklace when we went to Idaho last year.
I was to say, a different kind of jade, though. That one looks very different. It's usually a darker color.
Yeah.
But it's also really pretty. But it's just a very interesting stone with a lot of depth to it. So I'm noticing, like, on the gauntlets, there's, like, this really vivid green color inside the gold motifs. Like, almost yellow-green, but it's still in that...
It's still jade,
It's still, like, more of like a highly saturated jade. Her outfit is jade-colored. And then she's got, like, dark green little boots, which are kind of, like... Got, like, the wave motif on it, or smoke, one of the two. And then we have this dragon that is starting from her bottom of her legs. There's, like, fire and stuff, and, like, the tail goes down one leg, comes all the way up, goes up the front of the side of the dress, goes around her back, and then it's just, like, hanging out on her shoulder. And then they're like, that's so cool. I want her.
It rules.
Can I get her dress? I want a cute dragon on my shoulder. Then, you know, like, and they let it pop out and be 3D, so it's like, you know, like a really big motif. And they're doing like the counterbalance thing, so like they have the big dragon on the shoulder, counterbalance with the opposite side with the bells and all tied on her belt as like a big 3D piece to pop off. And there's not a lot of other 3D elements that are really like popped out. Like the dress is pretty much even. It's kind of like again, a classic style. I don't know if they have the window usually on that style dress, but you know, they wanted to make it a little more sexy, I guess. I may be wrong on that one.
Is that a window? I thought that was a colored diamond. I guess that is a cleavage window.
Yeah, it's a window. It's their skin tone.
Yeah, true.
You can see like it ties off to the side. I wish the West had like kept some of their bigger, flowier clothes, because like all the modern clothes kind of suck. It's just like I just want to wear a big blanket if you don't mind.
I wish the West could borrow like this style of clothing, because it always rules.
Yeah, and there's been a revival of like more classic styles in China, and there's hundreds of photos that are like the most amazing looking dresses and garments you could ever imagine. But I really like the gold motif on here. It's like really balanced well. Like when it's asymmetrical, it's there to balance out something else. Because we have like flames on just one side of the bottom of the dress. Some of the gold is a bit brighter towards the top. So we have like desaturated, especially on the leggings. It's like really low key, almost brown.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, and they always do such great surface treatments. Because I think I even see like shiny scales that when you turn into certain lights, the scales on the dragon itself are 3D.
Yep.
Like, especially if you do the midriff one, so people know where to look. Like, shine, bright yellow. And that's like when you're rendering gold. Like, you pick a desaturated color, so when you put the highlights for the shine, that's where you pull out the high saturation color, and it'll just pop off. And you can make different metals and gold. You know, it could be like a warm yellow gold, which is my favorite color of gold to draw, is that have a little bit more warmth to it. But you can also do like the colder yellow gold too, where it has no reds in it, or as much red, and it comes off a little more of that kind of yellowish color that gold can do. And sometimes even cheap imitation gold will have that kind of a weird yellow sheen instead of the kind of warmer regular gold. And then she's got, it's kind of interesting they did with like just wrappings for her arms where her gauntlets go on, because everything else is so fancy. So maybe it's supposed to be like a bit of a martial arts looking thing, but otherwise I'm not sure why they would do arm wraps. They have a little bit of wraps around some of her hair too, and where it's braided. Probably just to tie in the material a bit better. Wish I can remember what the tassels are for. Because I remember I would always get like, not always, but once in a while you could get like these tassels that would be hanging off like a zodiac animal, and there'd be like a tassel, usually red on the bottom. And then I was like, as a kid, I was like material and like sensory kind of material. So I just like the way tassels feel when you put your fingers through them. Uh-huh. They're just so fluffy in a satisfying way. But that just makes me think of the way those tassels are used as a motif. Man, I'm trying to think of anything else to say, because like the dragon is a pretty classic kind of dragon as far as the way it's drawn.
If I played Mantis, this would probably be my favorite skin to use for her.
She also has a little bit of like a red mark, which could be like the dragons. You would usually have like a pearl either in their mouth or on their forehead. Uh-huh. So it could be like a motif to go with the dragon motif. I know someone's gonna have to do like the follow-up video to really discuss like all the particulars of the Asian-inspired styles, because I don't have the cultural background to make large comments on it, because I need to do more reading, and our education system is in shambles. But I do like it on certain lights. You can see on the front and on the back, the dress has a like texture to it that's kind of like a wave texture, and it's really subtle. But it makes it really velvety. And again, they just have such good surface treatments, so they can really get like these high quality satin looks to a lot of things, metallics. Which I don't know if I've seen a lot of material treatment in a lot of games before. Like it's usually like seems to be seldomly used, but also a lot of games have been going post-apocalyptic, so everyone's wearing just like the most worn out cotton and tactical gear ever.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of neat to see some games play with material a bit more. Like, I think metals are about the only material I see the most as rendering in games. But clearly I just need to expand my gaming experience. Play some games that might have other materials in it.
We'll get you there.
I'm playing Stray right now. That one has goo.
The goo moves.
Gross.
Yep. But yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah. Oh, I just noticed too they used part of the back to do like this sun thing or flames out from behind the belt. Which is not actually attached to the dragon or anything. They're just like fire to accent the belt. Very cool.
She has normal sized boobs in this one.
Yeah. I think too, I want to see the back for a second. I just think I might have seen something. Zoom out and flip her around. The flame on this back of the corner dress also kind of connects with the flames on her leggings too to complete a flame shape.
I noticed that earlier, and I think it's a really nice touch.
Yeah, it's like kind of nice that they're tying in designs from the front and the back material so that it completes shapes and makes things look interesting. Normally you don't want tangents like that, but since it completes the shape of the flame and that's kind of like the mystical power of the dragon and its flames that follow along with it, because it is a heavenly creature. Very cool to see them use that as a design motif to kind of complete shapes and make the design really cool. It's really nice. I like it. This would be a fun one to play. Just like Dragon Mantis, go!
Hell yeah. All right, one sec. Okay, we've got 3 more costumes to show you. The next one we're gonna do is the swimsuit costume.
Oh no, how much butt are we gonna see in this one?
A lot.
Oh no! Oh, I forgot a lot of these costumes are shared too.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm seeing some other costumes. Oh my goodness. She looks like a sea nymph.
That's probably the idea.
It's funny to see like the swimsuit bare naked ladies next to like the actual like brick houses that the guys are.
Yeah.
It's like I need some of these to be switched designs just once for
We need Peter Parker in a
skimpy, yes.
yes. He's lithe.
Deadpool would be a good choice too.
Oh, that would be gross.
That's why it would be so funny.
True. They absolutely should do that, but it would be gross.
He has the self-confidence to make it work. Haters gonna hate. The hair is kind of cute though, like what they did the buns on the top.
Yeah.
But she looks like a smoothie. Cuz everything is so bright. Oh man, I'm trying to think where to start here cuz it is like super bright colorful.
Well, those legs do go all the way up.
Yeah. I was looking at the little anklet things that have like the little toe ring too. So it like ties it to the anklet.
Uh-huh.
And then she has kind of a green wristlet that kind of matches it, and the other one's more of a big chunky jewelry. I think one of them might be a watch. I'm not sure.
That is a watch, yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing your watch into the ocean?
It's waterproof.
Waterproof just means it fails after it goes underwater.
No! They make some waterproof. They've had waterproof watches forever. Well, before...
It's an old adage. Water resistant means it fails before it goes underwater. Waterproof means it fails after it goes underwater.
No. They're supposed to be rated. Like, we used to buy these ones. They say it would be, like, rated for this many feet underwater. After that, then, yeah, sure, I guess. But, you know, you could buy ones for, like, and you could spend more money and get different depth. And I don't even live anywhere with water that deep, so I never had to worry about it. Does she have like longer and pointier ears in this version, or is it just the lack of hair?
Absolutely longer and pointier.
Okay.
They're like proper elf ears.
Yeah, it's just like, so they are kind of doing like some kind of like sea nymph thing going on. Cause I see like a seashell thing on the belt. There's like a ethereal coral accents on her.
Oh, I never noticed that. That seashell on her belt is the Guardians of the Galaxy emblem.
Oh, nice. She's got like a starfish for a necklace with some shell accents. There's a fish choker that's blue.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of these frilly things that kind of reminds me of those like jellyfish or sea anemones. Where there's like the frilly parts of her sleeves and the back parts. Because they're kind of transparent. Which is not a thing they used to be able to do in games. I remember like they're starting to do 3D models with like transparent like clothing. They were like, wow! Which ended up being kind of funny because then they had to model more of the arm so they could show like the transparency underneath.
Yep.
Then she has another gladiator belt thing going on. And then the green is all kind of cut up to be a leaf motif because there's even like I think it's called
It's kind of kelpy.
I think it's called fenestration when it has other holes in it, like Monstera had to think of the word there. Getting fancy. But yeah, there's like a couple holes in the side, like some of those leaves have. And big cutouts. big cutouts. She's almost in a tits out kind of. I mean, it might as well just be. But yeah, think of what they do with color too, because a lot of the yellow is kind of on the outsides and on the belt. So I have a lot of warmth in this outfit, and I like that the green is kind of asymmetrical. We have like one that's kind of more of a middle to blue green, and then the other one's clearly a very yellow green, desaturated a little bit, so it's not as bright yellow as your other yellows in the outfit.
Uh-huh.
So it makes this crisscross. He's got big chunky sunglasses. Why do they all summer outfits have sunglasses but no one wears them?
The Luna Snow skin that just released for the 8th anniversary celebration, and that's a joke, let me tell you. Has weird shaped glasses on it that the fan base in a positive element bullied the devs into giving the option to remove them.
They're like, get those out of here. So I was also looking at the way they use blue, because they're using blue to really bring you up towards her face, because there is a lot of stuff happening with the outfit as far as like extra frills and fancies and moving parts. So the blue is only used on her choker and her hair and her eyes and some of her little face glitter. I don't see a lot of blue elsewhere, and there's also pink up there too. That's on a little bit of the arm jewelry, but otherwise pink is only, again, up at the top. The flower, the shades, her makeup, her lips.
Her ring is blue.
A little bit of blue. I thought it was purple. But yeah, it's a cooler color. But I think the jewelry is the only exception. Like the middle of the outfit is all yellow, green, or orange. And there's no other colors there. It's all one of those three. So they're using some of the other colors as like ways to bring your face up on this otherwise kind of busy outfit. Let's see. Let's look at the back for a bit. See if there's anything going on there. There is another little flower accent.
Oh, by the way, am I right that this outfit is meant to look kelpy?
Yeah, like I think, like especially like how thin the little like Roman style belt is going on, but I see like the frills as being like, it is very sea creature, but I see it less the kelp and more like
I was talking about the green, the yellow green. The yellow stuff, I think you're right about the sea creature.
Oh yeah, the green could be like kelp. I guess I wasn't picking up on that because it's repeating a lot and the holes make me think more of a leafy plant. But yeah, some kelp could be pretty beat up and have holes in it too. I think it's just maybe the color of green is so bright I wasn't picking up kelp. The yellow for sure, but like the bright blue green it isn't a color that kelp would come in, which honestly I think if they had gone like a more subdued green, I think I would have liked it. It would have let the warms pop a little more. You know, because not everything has to be high contrast. They could have went with and I think if you zoom out, I think there's a darker green on her bracelets maybe? No, it's about the same color. I thought I had seen a darker green on this outfit somewhere, but maybe I imagined it. It was the green that we made along the way. Yeah, I think maybe just a more desaturated green would have let some of the other colors sing a little bit and not feel so busy. Because I think that's my only complaint on this outfit is I do love the brightness and everything, but something is feeling a little too busy all over. That I keep wanting to look in a lot of other areas, and I'm not sure where to be. Do you get that kind of impression as far as... Like, there's stuff I really love. Like, I love the frillies, and I love the yellow quite a lot. But something in my brain is like, am I supposed to go, like, look at the green? Am I supposed to look at the blue? Am I supposed to go look at the bracelets? Am I supposed to go back to the, look at the yellow? Or, So I think a little bit of order there would have been pretty nice. And I think they could have controlled the green to not make it kind of a yucky, ugly green. I think they could have kept a lot of color in it and just not let it be so bright.
Excuse me.
But that's, I think, the only thing I would change. I think the rest of the outfit's pretty fun. The blue hair has a little bit of light blue on the tips going on to kind of give it some variety. It's a very odd color for her, but it works in this outfit. Kind of feels oceany.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a very ocean blue.
Yeah, so like all the colors here definitely scream like, you know, classic beach vibe, paradise type colors. There's all sorts of little details to her outfit that are based on sea creatures or invoke the idea through the fabrics.
Now, how much of a pain in the ass would that outfit be to wear?
It's not to wear, it's to keep it on. Because it crisscrosses in the front, but isn't it just like, yeah, it doesn't crisscross in the back. So you're just kind of just hoping to God that it doesn't slip off the front.
Oh no, you're right.
Right?
Well, the yellow kind of keeps it together.
I don't think the yellow's attached. I think it's a shrug you wear on the top.
Huh.
Like it goes over the whole piece.
Well, then, yeah, I guess she's hoping her boobs don't slip out.
And I've seen some of these more like open like suits. They'll put like a little thing that goes across like the chest on the top or the middle that's like a little clasp to kind of mitigate some of that. But some of these outfits are just clearly meant to like, I'm going to the beach. I'm not intending to swim or run or do anything. Like it's just there for looks. And I'm like, why would you go to the beach then? Just stay home.
Yup.
I want to go to the beach to swim in the water and play, but you know, some of the beaches are too cold for that.
Yeah.
Background's fun too. Like I love the painting background that they did on there. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like a lot of the motifs. I think that some of the colors could be subdued to let other colors sing, but the whole design's really nice.
Well, good, because it's got a couple of recolors.
Oh my goodness.
So let's take a look. It has 2.
Blue!
Blue!
So this one's a lot more simple compared to the other one. They have some of the purple doing what the blue did in the other outfit to just use it over most of the hair, and pink is up there too. And I like that it lets the yellow on the accessories really pop a bit better. But yeah, using like pink on like the eyes too to like bring you to the front. Oh, her antennas are still green though. That's interesting. I would have thought they did a recolor for that too, since there's not a lot of green left in her outfit otherwise.
Yeah. Is there any?
Maybe on the little
on the jawbreaker bracelet.
Yeah, the rainbow bracelet there. That's about it. But yeah, this one's like, it's only purple and blue and a little bit of yellow. It's like, how could you mess this up, right?
Yeah.
I do like that they do a little bit of kind of a lighter blue on some of the ends of things, like the coral and the corners of things. Like there's white, it's more like a white pearl for the fish choker and the flower on the top and the watch. It's kind of that pearly color. And there's a little bit of the silver pearly on the anklets too. It does kind of ruin...
Whoops.
That. You goofed! It does kind of ruin the whole leaf motif though, because it doesn't look very leafy anymore.
Yeah.
But that's the only complaint I think you could possibly make, is that it loses that characteristic to it. What's the other recolor? Whoa! That's very contrasty. Light and dark, almost a Harlequin, actually. Like the, you know, the white and black, but instead we have black and orange peach.
My interface is broken.
You broke the game?
Ah, there we go. Oh, when I skip this. Okay, we're gonna let this play out.
You can't get by it. They will not let you.
And yes, that is the Punisher.
Why you still have see your cursor during this? Isn't that not supposed to be seen? Or at least you'd think it would be hidden.
There we go. Okay, I can turn her.
You're having issues. Alright. Oh, this one's kind of doing a contrast with green and orange. Which is kind of cool. Usually like green, orange, and purple are the secondary colors, but there's no purple in this outfit, so we just have green and orange. A little bit of yellow. So I think it's more of like a warm, cool thing going on then, because everything else is a warm color palette, and so our greens get to be that kind of the cool accent to everything. So our eyes even have green now too.
Uh-huh.
She must have hella contacts to have all these beach outfits. But I really like that they're using a desaturated, like peachy orange pink a lot in this outfit. It's really makes again, it lets the brighter colors sing because we got a little bit of brightness on the top of the belt, a lot of brightness in the yellow accents for the accessories so they don't get lost, and a lot of brightness for the whole like shoulder area where she has that fancy cover. I even seeing some details I couldn't see in the other ones. Like there's this extra swish around the shoulder.
Oh, like the crescent shaped one?
Yeah, I couldn't see that at all, and really, I mean, I could see a texture, but it didn't pop as like a shape. And I also like that it's got kind of a dark red for the ends of the sleeves.
Yeah.
Reminds me of they have these sea nettles at the zoo from like coast of Africa that are like a type of jellyfish, and they're like this brilliant orange with this dark burnt orange color at the ends of all their frills, and they're very frilly and they have really long kind of stingers that are all like really curly. And then the flowers are led to go dark because you got a dark flower on her wristlet. That's the back flower dark too, or they make it go with orange. Oh, it's yellow for that one. And the rainbow bracelet's no longer yellow. The curse is broken. And then an orange flower for her head. And it kind of ties the green antenna back in a bit because he has green sunglasses, green jewelry. So it's not so like, oh yeah, and those were still green. I think I like this version the best. I think the bright colors get to pop in the right places as compared to the default color. Which I did like, but I felt like you have desaturated black and the desaturated pink. It's not the brightest pink you can use. It does let the bright colors pop better. So I think if they had controlled the saturation of stuff and just let some stuff be like second seat, the rest of the outfit could have popped better. Because I did like the yellow, and I wanted the yellow to catch my eye, but it couldn't when there was all that bright green going on.
Yeah.
I think just the green needed to be subdued. The blue could have been done a little desaturated too, because the hair was not the full contrast of blue you could do. So I think the jewelry could have went that direction a bit more too, but definitely the main part of the green outfit should have been toned down. But it's a fun outfit. It's obviously supposed to be very sexy.
Of course. And she's still got smaller boobs than the gladiator. Plenty of ass, though.
Yeah, but as much as they goof around with some of these sexy outfits, they do make some really goofy outfits for the men, too, that show off a lot of skin sometimes.
Oh, just you wait till we get to Venom. Just you wait. I'm so excited to show you Venom.
So much cake to be had.
All right. So that's this one. One sec. All right. Up next, I think you'll like this one. Very alien Mantis.
Yeah, super alien.
The Flora Maiden.
Let's see. So she has like a upside down flower kind of thing because you got petals, or yellow petals for the bottom of the skirt. So if you like flip the flower, it'd be like that. I'm not sure how I feel about the big yellow accents on the chest. Like does feel alien, but it feels like
Eyeballs
or some kind of weird shape. Like it doesn't actually become something. But there are some cool cutouts like the ones on the torso that makes that other area a lot thinner and feel more like a stem. Oh, she has like little blinking eyes on the black portions.
Yep.
She has creatures living in her.
Yep.
Why are they tiny little cartoon creatures? That's throwing me off too, because he's kind of like, milk-eyed, evil, creepy, and then they're like, I'm little cartoon creatures. The back of her hair is all flower too.
Yep.
A lot of nice, really neat texture going on. Also, the yellow on her back glows. Like, actually emits a glowing light.
Yep.
It's her weak spot.
She's got more critters too.
Oh my goodness. This is a pretty wild design. But I do like how they're controlling the yellow overall. Like, there's just... It's in sections, like across the shoulders and chest, across the wrist, across the big section, across the hips. And then she has like insect wing antenna, sort of, or like there's
Yeah,
like
moth antenna.
like a membrane. Moth antennae are fluffy. It's more of like an insect wing with a border.
Yeah, true.
Like, see, it could be considered mothy because the shape is right, but mothy would be fuzzy, which also would have been cool and cute. But I think they're going more plant-like and alien, so maybe that's why they went with more of a membrane, like it's like a plant cell almost, or like a really thin leaf that's so thin it's transparent. They're also pulling warmth as like a subtle accent in a lot of other areas because we have we kind of have like this medium green, but it's pitched up to like a light green or darker green here and there, and it's mostly value, but there's a little bit of yellow warmth like across the tops of the shoulders. The tips of the fingers have yellow, just kind of airbrushed on there. Her front of her face has yellow.
Shortest fingernails out of all of them.
I know, she doesn't get her manicure when she's an alien. No one else, they're discriminating her. Won't give her a manicure. Oh, her antennas still glow, it's cool. But also, like, she has yellow on the face too, especially the middle is very bright yellow.
Uh-huh.
And then there's some interesting cutouts too. Where it's just like, kind of like plant armor with the big pointy. Oh, you know the pointy ones kind of remind me of peace lily. It's a type of plant that grows a specialized leaf that is the flower of the plant with a little pistil on it.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of reminds me of that because of the white color, I think. Because the majority of them are typically white. It's the most common one. But it's kind of cute too. She has like little ruffles for her wrists because she has a kind of a clothing look. Even though her body seems to be entirely organic. And so that means she's buck naked. There's the boots going on with the boots on this one. Oh yeah, I remember now.
They're very 50s sci-fi boots.
Yeah, they're almost like slipper-like. Or like kind of fancy ruffles or something like that. But they're otherwise not very shoe-shaped. I'm surprised they didn't play around with that a little bit more, because everything else has a very integrated, leafy, organic look. Like, everything on the hip is like a big petal. The whole front torso is like this big stem petal thing. The way the chest area is like a bunch of vines and like kind of orb-like things, whatever they are. They kind of might be a sap. Then we get to like the legs, and the legs are just like regular clothing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they could have played around with that, because I feel like the wrist clothing is like feels very plant-like. I think it would have been kind of neat to see them play around with the shapes more to make the legs more match the rest of the motif of being pretty much primarily entirely organic.
Good God, I just really took a look at her overall shape. Check out that waist to hip ratio. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I told you it's supposed to look like a plant stem. So they make they made her waist really thin, and then they're accenting that because they see the dark green cutouts. They're accenting the thinness by adding those cutouts to make it seem like she's even thinner. So she's literally like a plant stem with a flower as the base.
That's true. That's a really clever design then.
Yeah. And like clearly they can't do the same thing on the top as much, but they're still playing around with, especially a bunch of vines with the little critters in the whole top section of her. So she's almost like the top of her is almost like a canopy or a tree, root ball or something, because the rest of her head's also a flower with a little bit of hair on the front. But the flowers are white, so they just come across as like a decorative ruffle. Does she even have ears anymore? Kind of. Yeah.
Yes, she does.
She does. I had to look really close.
They're even more elfin than the swimsuit one.
And I was thinking like the way the back piece too, if you look at where the vines are going, like they really show like she has some kind of core of like plant energy, it seems like. And so like these are creating like a scapula shape with like especially that sharp cutout towards where the arms are at, where it's kind of a big swoosh. So you get this big sense of like the bony structure that these are be sitting on, and then they go over the top, and they kind of left the bare back. It's like really smooth. kind of like an open back dress, if you think about it. Actually begs the question why they didn't just like kind of leave her with bare legs or something like that, or more, you know, because they could have done like a Tinkerbell thing.
True.
Or just have like some of the yellow leaf cut out and the rest of it could be skin.
And I'm sure people would have been very happy.
I think that would have been kind of cool though. Like just, you know, and then, you know, since she is supposed to, to me she looks organic and wild and untamed. So I'm not sure if she's supposed to have shoes or what this design is based off of, if anything. But
I think the shoes are part of her body.
yeah, but I mean, like, she could have been barefoot.
True.
Cause
Then a different group of people would have been excited.
I'm leaving. Now goodbye. That's the end of the show.
No, I've got one more to show you.
But I guess another thing, maybe since it is all white, maybe they could have done more like a root system or something. Even though I know the flower's upside down, or the way flowers have like the stamens and pieces that come off of them. Like, I feel like there's just something there that they did so much. They adhered so much to the design in the whole upper half that when we didn't adhere to the design as much on the bottom half, I'm just like, hey, wait a minute, what happened? What happened to all the weird leafy motifs? I want more alien legs. Does this have a lore bit on the skin description?
The moment Mantis set foot on Krakoa, the living island responded instantly. Vines coiled around her limbs, and flowers blossomed on her skin, as if the island's biosphere had become her new epidermis. Her white eyes shimmered with an unprecedented radiance. She had transformed into the Flora Maiden of Krakoa, and Krakoa is the living island the X-Men live on.
Oh. Yeah, so it says that when she set foot on the island, I think they could have done, like, roots or, like, some kind of vine. They could have, like, done an asymmetrical vine thing or something, like, crawling up her legs or, I don't know. This feels like the legs I don't like.
Yeah.
To me, like, I'm just so distracted by the shape of the boot. Like, maybe it's supposed to be like a pitcher plant kind of thing.
Maybe.
But then they could have made the boot green. Like a really light green or something like that.
Yeah.
That's my only complaint, though. Like, I just look at it and I'm just like, Like, I like everything from, like, the knees up.
I will say those hips are very distracting.
I'm distracted by how Yannick, the little yellow section, is in the middle of her hips.
Oh.
You said, oh, because now you see it, don't you?
Yep.
And if you don't know what Yannick is, go look it up. Or don't. It's fine either way. We love you just as you are.
We swear and talk about sex on this show. Hopefully you're not 15. All right, that everything for this one?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, then, one sec. Okay, one last costume, and then we'll move on to the MVPs. This one's my favorite of the ones I have, and honestly kind of tied with Jade Maiden. This is an Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda skin. Also Kamen Rider.
Almost a Kamen Rider. Yeah, also Kamen Rider. Wow, this is a pretty cool design, though.
Isn't it?
Like, dang. There's a lot going on. I like that they're playing around with the shape of, like, her antenna. They're echoing with the big helmet pieces.
Uh-huh.
With these big chunks on there. I like the big green chunks around the hips because kind of repeating these big sections. So it just gives her body a really interesting shape because it chops the shape up into a not as human shape. Because it allows it to be a little bit alien. Because underneath it is these, like, repeating gray interlocking lines.
The musculature, yeah.
Yeah.
Like artificial, like robot muscles.
Yeah, and they're changing the scale of those too. Like, you know, they're smaller in the torso. They're much larger on the hips. And then the boots are another big green section. And then, gosh, There's also a big purple section in the center, which they echo again in the armpit, but I think that's kind of it for purple. Which kind of creates this kind of cool, like, she has a big, like, middle unit section. I guess there's a little bit on the back of the helm, too. But it sections up the body in a way that makes all those, like, non-human sections start to piece back into a shape again.
Uh-huh.
So we don't, like, lose the figure. I like that she has giant knee spikes, too. And she also has, like, spikes on her hips. Again, we're bringing back the sharp pointiness from her base design. She is danger. They also did a thing, too, like with the helmet screen. They brought the forehead quite far down, so it creates a different shape to the face. So it makes her look like she has, like, exaggerated, like, cartoon almost, like, eyes facing downward.
Uh-huh.
Which, you know, you get to do when you have inorganic shape. Her ears still wiggle. I just noticed.
Oh my god, really?
Yes.
Oh my god, they do.
That's amazing. S-tier design. It has ear wiggles. They said the perfect woman doesn't exist. Oh man, go back to like the triangles and things. Her pauldrons are also like a 3D pyramid. And they're playing so much with chunking too. Like there's this big jetpack chunk on her back. So where they play around with like keeping the body lithe and skinny, then they go back and play around with adding bulk to it. So like things can feel bulky, and it's a very abstract way because they don't have, in this case, they're breaking away from mimicking the body in a lot of areas, so they can build up more visual bulk. So they can create a kind of alien, like humanoid character that can now do more heroic stuff than a real human being could. I also like the little tail holograms. Like they're just a really nice shape, and they make a little tail coat off of her. But they're also so, the way they're treated as such a solid shape with no wrinkles or other things to it, especially with the big like chunky lines they use for the frame. Like it just feels like a fun piece of bulk on her whole design too, and it kind of gives her a cape in a way, so that when she does move, she has these like little flying pieces to accent it.
I can make those jiggle, and I can also make her antenna jiggle.
Yeah. I also like that a lot of bulk has been put in the legs. So like even though they do add some with the pauldrons and the backpack, that the legs are very like wide, so they feel like they're very mechanical and robotic and large.
Uh-huh.
To me.
Also, again, that waist to hip ratio.
Yeah. I'm also really liking some of the repeated lines too. So we have a lot of that like synthetic muscle look, but then we get to the chest, she has like a little bit of fabric ruffle around it. Like that's not even armor or anything, it's just like a little bit of like cozy fabric. And then she has like repeating V shape across the chest, the chest plate. And that creates like big pectoral muscle. There's like it's kind of like a big sports bra because it's all chunky. It also makes a face, I just realized. If you look at them as like two eyeballs.
Yeah, the boobs are eyes, and it's got fangs.
And it's got little fangs and a nose, and it's kind of like a bug face with giant bug eyes.
Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider. But also, I do like that they took the top parts, the straps, but they're like these repeating big chunky pieces of silver, just like choom, 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 choom. So like things that need to feel fast and lithe and skinny are, and things that need to be chunky and robotic are there to like give that robotic chunky look to it. But it's kind of funny too, because it is playing around a bit like clothing, even though nothing is clothing on this outfit.
Well, except for the thing around the neck.
Yeah, except for that little, that's probably the only thing that is actually fabric. It does remind me of like a thing they do, I think, especially in automotives, where they'll put a fabric sleeve around certain things because it's supposed to help prevent friction and rubbing when all the engine parts are going. And you'll see that on some like machines. It's not going to be all ruffled and wrinkled like that, but the texture on it kind of reminds me of some of the material that's made specially that way. The helmet, I really just like the way that the shape of it is. It's really abstracted. They've taken the whole human face off of it entirely.
Yeah, it's a really cool helmet. And the ears wiggle.
And the ears wiggle. And then her hair is now like this white, poofy, fluffy stuff.
Kind of luminescent.
Yeah, it also reminds me of like the fuzz on insects. Because it's like short and foofy, so like a lot of beetles will have that. So there is like, and also like the back pieces are kind of like beetle-like wings too.
Yeah.
So they are bringing some ideas. There's also another...
The jetpack has a face.
I was going to say, the jetpack's house has a face. Could be like a snake with a tongue or something with tusks or a lot of different things, but it has a face on it too.
Yep.
But there is kind of like an insect beetle-like look to a lot of things, which honestly, for making like inhuman designs, insects are a great place to start because their evolutionary line was like, instead of like bones and muscles and stuff, what if we just had goo and exoskeleton?
Yeah.
And so they're usually pretty good reference for, I need to make something look weirder, how to do. And then like color-wise, really we're using big chunks of green and everything else is staying pretty neutral. And it seems like all the silver accents are typically on the outside of the outfit or are used to show a actual piece that's connected to her or she's wearing. Because like the green parts, those don't come off in my opinion. Like those are part of the whole fit. The silver parts, like to me, are like pieces that could like be taken off the outfit.
Uh-huh.
You know, like it's put on top of what she's already wearing. I also like that it has like little holes in the little her power wristlets, because it reminds me of some of those other mechanical things where they had the holes there again for like exhaust or heat reduction, wind reduction, a lot of different reasons you'd punch hole through metal.
Uh-huh.
Bicycle helmet, you know, kind of look. Also, the horns on her helmet are doubled. There's a darker one underneath the big silver one.
Yep.
But you know, when in doubt, if you want more shapey, just add 2. Repetition again. I'm really digging how the purple really does like chunk out the whole torso section though.
It's very beetle purple too.
Yeah. And then like the treatment of the greens is very like scarab shiny. And they use it pretty much in very select spots. It's the big front panel of the helmet. It's the entire gauntlet piece except for the fingers. It's like the entire accent of non-silver portions of her like bust armor. It's the entire repeated shape of like small, big, and then like the boots on her legs. So it's very ordered and it's a big, easy read, and it looks really good. I really like that it's on the underside of the arms too, because I've seen a lot of them, they do a color on the gauntlet, but then they only do it on like one side.
Uh-huh.
I like that it's like these big chunky pieces. And the legs are such a big section that I think they did cut out the backs just to give a little bit of a break. So I think from the back you don't see as much green, because you just have the little jetpacky thing and you see parts of the back of the legs. But that one, like the shape is a lot different, because the back spine with that green section is kind of attached to the tail pieces. So you're getting a whole different shape than you do from the front. You know, it kind of goes like, you know, triangle, skinny, big triangle. Whereas the front is kind of like these repeating like V shapes with the legs. And then the bust is kind of like straight across.
Uh-huh.
To show like how round the front is. You know, like the rib cage and all that. Which is really nice because this really is accenting like the shape of the body. Like, you know, fronts are barrel shape, and the back has like this, you know, lithe snake-like shape to the spine. So when this character does get to move. I also like there's a bit of a repetition in the triangle shapes too, which uses a little bit of accents here and there as like tiny little things, like especially on like I see them on the kneecaps and on like the top of the sports bra armor. But on the helmet, it's used quite a lot because there's like a whole bunch of little triangles all over.
Yep.
That create like these pattern motifs, almost holographic like on some areas. Which is kind of a fun. It's just like using some of that design language again too, because we know like future mechanical stuff, you don't make straight geometric lines without machines. So if you're trying to show something mechanical, you start using as many, measured, not made by nature angles as you can possibly manage. So curves are used a lot less.
Uh-huh.
And I just love the greens too. So like when they do need something to glow, they're using this bright yellow-green accent. So like the helmet and then some of the itty-bitty accents. But there's a little bit of glow added in areas like underneath the, between the dark green and the other section of the sports bra part. Oh, there's like a lens flare back there. Neat. her elbow blocked it for a second, so I didn't notice that there's a kind of a big lens flare. There's like a light behind her elbow. So that's funny. Anyway, the brighter green too is used like in the hip area, so it gives this impression, especially with the mask too, as well, of like this inner glow energy to this whole outfit. And then, dang, you just can't go wrong with Scarab Beetle green. It's like a very cool green in the blue spectrum. Has a lot of shine to it, so if you're painting it, you'd start with like a very more desaturated green, and then you'd punch up to the more saturated greens for the highlights and things. Because even on like the helmet, you can see some of the desaturation gets down to almost gray. Or especially other areas that don't get a lot of light. And then because they're metallic too, like in the hips, I can see a lot of reds and stuff and just reflections and other paints. There's also kind of a sparkle paint too. The cars used to come in this color and I miss it.
Yeah.
They gotta bring sparkle paint back, I'm just saying. It was so good.
Yep.
And the best thing about that too is like this color of green was so cool on cars, because at night your car would look like it was blue, and during the day you'd get like this green color, and that was just because the color was so low key and the sparkle would change to the color with the light. And it's a travesty that cars have gone so boring.
Yeah.
We bailed out the car manufacturers for this.
There need to be more colors.
I know. Yeah, I like this one. I think it's probably my favorite.
Nice. I thought it might be.
I was gonna say right off the bat, it's a creature.
Well, we'll get your final verdict when after we see the MVPs. Unless you had more to say on this one.
I don't think so. I think we covered it all.
Here's our default, which is like 3 seconds long.
The Power Glove. Speak to the hand. I still really like this default outfit, though. I just think the spiky arm pieces and the cactus kind of, the little triangle accents are surprising, but really effective on this design. I think it works for her being such a soft and appealing character, but who also could absolutely take you out. Because she is like one of the stronger guardians when she's in the right situation. Like, she's terrifying.
Yep. She, did I tell you that the fan base made a whole ass Mantis Loki ship that the devs have actually played into?
I didn't know that.
No, like, they have dialogue since the start of the game. Like, at the start of a match, while you're in the waiting room waiting for the match to start, the characters will talk to each other. And Loki and Mantis have a few pieces of dialogue that go roughly in order. She doesn't like him very much. And then she takes a look at his mind and she sees how much he actually cares about Asgard. And we've got the God of Lies versus a mind reader. And it made for such perfect ship fuel that people started drawing it and playing around with it. And the devs finally made it semi-canon.
I mean, yeah, they are playing with an alternate universe of the characters, so they can kind of just explore them in new ways that they don't have to stick to their comic book iterations as strictly.
Yep. Alright, so next we have the swimsuit.
Okay, a coconut drink. Oh my gosh, it's a whale shark land whale. Oh my gosh. I forget how much cake they put in a lot of these summer designs. Yeah, it is a land whale.
That is Monstro, Namor's pet.
I don't think I love that one though, because she's so far away. Like, she's so small in the final split screen. The other stuff is cute though. But you would think like she would be a bit closer as like an end screen.
Yeah.
Alright, what else we got? Oh, she's standing with her original self? Interesting.
This one doesn't have a lot of impact. It gives a good view of the character design, but this one doesn't have any real impact, I don't think.
Yeah, the end screen is a little...
Dull?
Yeah, it's a little weird, like, compositionally. Like, seems like they should have had more dynamic pose for the end, because she has her fist up, but it's kind of far away. Where you would think if her fist was up, like, is she supposed to be like punching the viewer, or is she supposed to be just like, yeah, dude, you can do it.
Yeah.
I believe in you. We'll get through this together. You know, like, what is the theme? Because I like this portion of it. I like the idea of her like being restrained and breaking her bonds, but then like this doesn't show a strong enough pose for that at the end. Like, I think there should be like the fists closer to the screen, you know, so it's like large. That's her large fist too, like in the design. The other one's her small fist, but somehow her small fist is drawn bigger than her large fist.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it should look like a giant massive arm is about to either pick you up off the floor or punch you out, whatever the theme is supposed to be.
Yep.
And like her chest is also smaller in than her actual model, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because yeah, many questions. But yeah, it is a little disappointing on the end.
All right. Up next is Jade Maiden.
I like this idea of like her doing training. Ooh.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that one is cool. Even though there's no background, I'm usually not a big fan of the non-background ones. This one does feel pretty cool.
That final splash is fantastic.
And people complained.
I know,
You
right?
lousy ingrates.
It's so cool.
Put your nerd hat down for 2 seconds and get some culture.
All right. Here's the Guardians of the Galaxy one.
That's pretty fun. I like the color use on this one too, because they're really relying on that yellow-green. It's kind of interesting how punchy it is, even though the movement is very gentle. This is actually one of the ones I like that is not wildly, like, aggressive in the animation. Because it's like, this just feels nice. Like, wee.
Yeah.
It's just so smooth. Just, wee. Magic.
And finally...
Alright, see what they did for this one. Ooh. That one's pretty fun. It's like it's just doing a dance too. Like, it's really animated, so we get like... I've here seen like some of the like recordings of like classic dances and how energetic and how much the body is put into each of the poses.
Uh-huh.
It reminds me of that. I would really be curious what dance they base this off of, because this doesn't feel like martial arts to me. Although there is some overlap. But like that feels a lot like performance dance. Which a lot of movies have kind of combined the two too, because like sometimes regular martial arts, you know, because it is a art to protect and kill other people, is sometimes less flashy and more you die now. Because we don't have time to be flashy. Flashy is dead. Flashy is I get killed, so, you know. Kind of made me when Kung Fu Panda made me interested in reading the martial arts they're all based off of. And I was really curious about the Jaguar style of martial arts, and it's like people who train in it, because it is so aggressive, they tend to retire a lot earlier because the punches are so fierce and so much is put behind them that the body is basically ground down. Like,
oof.
Yeah, like they have to quit earlier because they're like punching themselves to the limit, or past the limit, really, if you think about it.
Damn.
But you know, if you're fighting someone against that, you don't want to mess with them, right? Because they're going to hit you really, really hard. So like, effective. You're not going to retire with that art, but you know, it's just different styles, and it's kind of cool how like different principles will lead to different outcomes. But I found that fascinating, especially with the way he's treated in the film as like he is the jaguar animal in the film, but the way that it was treated. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious if anyone knows if they could comment what this is based off of, because I feel like it has to be a reference from something.
Yeah, that'd be cool to find out.
Because it's like, and I love that they're adding these like hologram punch marks too. So like everything's got like a sound effect and this big animation. And I like that it just like it does aggressive, but then it like calms down and just. There's even like a kick in there too. I like the perspective too of the lower perspective and looking up. Sometimes like this character design though is so strong it almost doesn't feel like a Mantis. It feels like their own. Like this, you could convince me this was some new character.
Yeah.
And I'd be all over it.
So I'm gonna guess this one's your favorite.
Oh yeah, this one's a lot of fun.
And this costume is also your favorite?
Yeah, that costume's my favorite for sure. I think for personal reasons, but it's also pretty well designed. I think if we went on a metric of like if you're given a Mantis design to make it feel like the Mantis character, I actually think I like her default quite a lot.
The most, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really strong default design.
And like it's different from what I've seen from her previously, but I feel like it would be really cool in like a lineup with the other Guardian characters, and it feels like it belongs with the way her character has been presented as like a very caring person, but can also like fight and defend herself. So she's got some sharp edges. She's not as naive as people will perceive her as. She can be naive, but she's not helpless. She can, you know, be a force of her own. But the other one is just so cool. But MVP wise, I was really partial to the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 version. But just because it was actually pretty nice and gentle. And I always feel it's kind of rough to compare like the ones where they clearly put more effort into the MVP. And other ones they don't. Because this one doesn't have a background, right? Whereas the other one has like a full setting and a longer animation and more animation, so it's like
it was the capstone to the very first battle pass back in season 0.
You know, and like,
this, I mean.
Yeah, so you know, it feels like rough to compare the two because I do really like this one quite a lot, but this one I do also just even just the character animation is really good. But the background also adds quite a lot because as she's doing this, there's like after effects on the buildings of when she's doing the punches, where the buildings actually like their holograms warp too. So yeah, if this one didn't exist, I'd give the Guardians one the
nod.
The nod. But I will say this one has unfair advantage because like look at all the extra stuff is actually in it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Mantis. So up next is going to be Mr. Fantastic, who I'm excited to show you because he's the stretchy guy and they did a really good job with his abilities. So in addition to showing you the costumes, I'm going to take him into the practice range and show you how he moves.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know when that'll be. Hopefully next weekend or sometime during the week.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. We will see, and thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Testing.
Testing. Testing. Testing. Testing.
You goob.
I'm not a goob.
You're a goob.
You're a goob.
You're a goob.